and there's going to be this big climax where so you're in our world, then you go to Equinox, and then you go to the surface of the sun.
Welcome to the Character Sheet, your home for all things fantasy and TTRPG news. And today we have a frequent guest to the channel, our good friend James Introcaso, one of the lead designer of Draw Steel, one of the games we've been thoroughly enjoying since its release. And we're here today to talk about the future of Draw Steel, where Draw Steel goes from here. But first of all, James, thank you so much for joining us yet again.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Pete. It's always a blast talking to you. I love being here. I love the character sheet, so thank you so much. It's an honor, honestly, to come back. To even talk to you once is an honor, but to get to come back so frequently, I know how it is to deal with me, because I deal with me all the time. So thank you for having me.
Now, I think one of the big questions about Draw Steel people have is that they saw, I believe on July 31st, we got the big digital pre-release, the release really. All the digital stuff is now out. And so a big question is, what digital stuff is currently out, and when can players start expecting to see those physical copies roll in?
Yeah, so there's 4 things that are out right now that people can pick up. The first is a free adventure that people can pick up to run at cons or game stores or just with your friends at your house, whatever. It's called The Road to Broadhurst. It does require you to have the Draw Steel rules to basically be able to run, but it comes with pre-gens, and it's a short adventure. It's like an adventure on the road, so it has encounters that you can pull out. If you want a 4-hour experience, you can run the whole thing. If you want a 3-hour experience, you can pull out one of the encounters, right? You can do all these different things. And it runs you through the basics of the game. So it's got combat and negotiation and a montage test and all these different things in it that you can do. Then for $10, you can get the Delian Tomb. The Delian Tomb is our starter adventure. Again, comes with pre-gens, comes with quick start rules, everything you need to play the game. 9 different characters, so 1 in every class available in the game that you can try. And it's an adventure that'll take most groups between like 30 and 40 hours. There's sort of this middle sandbox component. So if you want to do everything and try to 100% the game, right, as it were, you could probably spend upwards of 40 hours playing through the Delian Tomb. It takes characters from levels 1 to 3. There's 10 levels in Draw Steel. And so there's lots to do there, sort of an adventure taking place around a pastoral village, a nearby dungeon. Has a little bit of an old school thematic feel. It is not an old school game, as we've talked about many times, but it's got that thematic feel of like you're in a village, there's a dungeon nearby, and then there's all these other adventure sites that you can go to. And then we have the core rules, and there's 2 core books. Those are the last 2 products. There's Draw Steel Heroes, right, which is our first core rule book that has everything you need to make a hero and the rules for combat, negotiations, tests, all that good stuff that you're going to use in the game. And then we have a book of monsters, Draw Steel Monsters, that people can get, right? And all of that is available currently digitally. That's all available in the digital format. If you want, you can also pre-order right now the hardcover versions of the 2 core rule books, Draw Steel Heroes and Draw Steel Monsters. Those are supposed to start shipping to folks later this week. We're going to start, obviously, with people who ordered it first through our Backer Kit campaign when our Backer Kit campaign happened in 2023, December of 2023. So those people are going to get it first, but we're going to be shipping out thousands of books all at the same time. So if you want to pre-order it, you should be able to go onto the site and get yours. Our hope is that most folks will have it by the end of the year, depending on where you live globally, right? If you pre-order now. So that's the plan, right? We're going to start very soon, very, very soon here in the month of September. We will be shipping things out, it looks like. So fingers crossed.
I cannot wait, as I think maybe one of the last literally 3 or 4 people to back the thing due to a card compromise error with my bank, where I had to like switch my card last minute and realize that my initial Backer Kit pledge didn't go through. I was on at like 11:59 p.m. when I realized like, oh shit, I'm not backing this currently. I can't wait to get my hardcovers.
Well, the good news about a Backer Kit campaign is you continue to make pre-orders after that bell rings. Yes. So yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for being a backer. Really appreciate it.
And then speaking of adventures, and I've looked through the Delian Tomb. It looked awesome. I can't wait to actually dive into that now. We're doing some homebrewed content in my home group at the moment. But You've already got these sort of 2 starter adventures out. Are there plans for more big standalone adventures? And if so, are you looking more at the big like single book standalone adventures, or more of the adventure path anthology style adventures you would see in like a Pathfinder type system?
So the answer is yes. We're talking a lot about adventures because right now we think of that as a thing that like it's a new game, and one thing that can help people pick up and play the game, right, which we want to make easy for people, is having adventure content to run, right? And so before the end of the year, you're going to get another adventure called The Fall of Black Bottom, which is for early levels. And that is a high octane adventure that we actually used during playtesting, and we have expanded it and updated the rules. So Sadie Lowry, who's a great designer, who now full-time over at Darrington Press, she's amazing. She worked on that for us in the playtest version, and then we brought in Leon Barrelaro, who's another great game designer, and they updated it for us and made this really incredible expansion to the game. And the idea is you are in this city, this free city, when it gets attacked and bombarded by a conquering tyrant named Ajax, who is sort of the big villain in the monster book that we have presented. So Ajax, think of Ajax as like a Alexander the Great type figure who has access to magic, swords, and other artifacts, and a giant flying city which he can bombard other cities with. So the idea is you're in the city when it gets bombarded, and then you have to make your way out with saving as many people along the way as you can, right? High octane, like go, go, go. You're there when fireballs and demons and other stuff starts hitting the city wildly. You got to take shelter, take stock of everything you have, and then figure your way out. So that's going to drop before the end of the year. And that is going to be not quite Delian Tomb length, but around a similar kind of length, right? If we were to put it together in some sort of print set, you might think of it as like what we typically think of what comes in a box, right? Would be like that kind of length adventure. Then we have some even shorter adventures coming out, right? Like adventures that don't necessarily span an entire level. And those are coming probably at the start of 2026. And there's 3 of them in the works right now. They are the Dark Heart of the Wood is one of the names of one of them, where you're traveling and you stop at this village, and all of a sudden plant zombies and other things start to attack the village, and you have to go into the woods to figure out what is going on. And it turns out that there is this big sinister force behind it. I don't want to give it away, but it's cool, and it's a big monster that sort of our take on a classic fantasy monster that might be in the title of some major fantasy role-playing games that people could check out. That's right, I'm talking about Trolls from Tunnels and Trolls. And then so that'll be for second level characters. We've also got another second level adventure called The Red Road, which is an adventure that is all about fighting gnolls, right? And trying to get ahead of this band of marauding gnolls so that you can warn a town and then help the town prepare for the oncoming onslaught of gnolls that are on their way, which is pretty cool. And then we've got an adventure called The Condemned, which is for third level characters. And that is you are in the city of Capital, which, if people are familiar with The Chain, which is Matt's actual play, The Chain of Acheron, this idea, right, that like, hey, we're going to wear these collars that can blow our heads up because we have been imprisoned, either rightfully or wrongfully so, and we need to go sneak aboard the Chrysopolis, which is the aforementioned Ajax's flying city, to save someone and get them off. So it is this sort of Suicide Squad-esque mission that you are going to engage in, right? So we have those smaller ones. We're also working on a bigger hardcover. That bigger hardcover adventure that is going to be like, 256 or more pages is called Crack the Sun. And Crack the Sun is this idea of you are taking on hobgoblins, an army of conquering hobgoblins, and there are other forces at play from the world of Equinox, right? Equinox, think of it as this dying world that is jungle ridden and has all of these incredibly dangerous flora and fauna. Right. And so shadow elves, this group of malicious shadow elves, not all shadow elves are malicious, but this group of them is trying to take over our world because their world is dying. Right. They're coming from another dimension, essentially another plane of existence, and they want to wipe us out. And they're in league with these conquering hobgoblins. And the hobgoblins also want to go into the sun, and there's going to be this big climax where so you're in our world, then you go to Equinox, and then you go to the surface of the sun for the climax of the adventure. So that's what we're looking at right now. We also have lots of other adventures and things that we're talking about making, but that's what's on the docket. And then on Patreon, in the meantime, we also plan on putting out like drop-in encounters and negotiations and montage tests that people can drop into their games so that they still have content if they want to run it right, that we can help them. And we're seeing tons and tons. This is really cool. Draw Steel has an open license. We're seeing tons and tons and tons of people starting to put out their own products, including lots of adventures, right? On Drive-Thru RPG, on Itch, just through their own sites, right? Posting all the time on our Discord and on our subreddit, right? People are just sharing free adventures that they've created. People are putting stuff up for sale that they've dropped money and art and editing into. There's 2 Draw Steel fanzines right now. There is the Blacksmiths Guild is one big fanzine, and the Blacksmiths Guild has actually had 2 issues already come out, which has been really cool. And then there is Ratcatchers magazine. Ratcatchers magazine has had 1 issue so far. They're working on others, and there are encounters and items and things like that in there as well. So it's actually blown me away. This game has only been out for like a month, and people are already starting to create some really, really great content for it. And so that's been exciting to see.
Yeah, no, that all sounds amazing. The Crack the Sun sounds fantastic. I can't wait to get my hands on that. And then I guess speaking of those playtesting, is there also going to be, we've got those 9 core classes. Are there more classes and subclasses in the work?
Yes, there are. So more character options are a thing that we're always looking at and talking about because they're fun to make. So also, before the end of the year, the Summoner class is going to come out. So the Summoner class, as we record this, maybe not by the time it's released, but as we record this, is in an open playtest right now. It's available on our Patreon as a free post, so anybody has access to it. And there's a survey that you can fill out. Summoner class is the thing you do is you summon minions, and you can there are some builds of Summoner where you can control up to 12 creatures on the battlefield at a time. And we're aware of all of the issues that can create, right? All of the issues that really can create is like, well, now the Summoner's turn takes an hour because they're controlling 12 people, right? Well, we didn't want to do that. And so we worked on how do we make everything resolve quickly? How do we make it so that the Summoner, like everybody else in Draw Steel, is only really rolling once on their turn, maybe twice, right? And it's like, okay, well, you do this and you do this. And so we've been really testing and refining that. We tested it with paid patrons, and now we're just testing it with anybody who wants to test it. And the plan is that will come out before the end of the year, and people will have a chance to check that out as well. We're also currently in development on a Beast Heart class. So we made the Beast Heart for 5e. The Beast Heart is instead of you having 12 minions you're controlling, it is a pet class, right? Me and my companion, right? Only it's not really like an owner-pet dynamic. It's like a partnership, right? Because the animal that is your partner, your companion, is big and wild, right? And it's not like you have tamped down that spirit. No, you have tapped into that wild spirit, and you are a primal champion, and so are they. So you might have a bear or a dinosaur or a basilisk, right? Or a young dragons type companion, right? Like there's all these different things that you can do. And essentially you run around the battlefield together. And we, again, working on the same thing. We don't want that turn to take any longer. We don't want you to be more powerful than any other class. We just want it to feel like you are, you are this creature that has a creature companion, and you work together in tandem and do cool stuff, heroic stuff. And so that's in development right now. That'll be coming out at the beginning of next year, 2026. And it should be hitting our open playtest process before the end of the year, I think. So yeah, so those are the big two things we have right now, and we're also working on a bunch of new ancestries that are going to be part of that character creation, right? So we're talking about 6 new ancestries, and they are, let's see if I can remember them off the top of my head: goblins, gnomes, shadow elves, fairies are going to be one of them. Goblins, fairies, dragonfly folk. Which right now we're talking about what the name is. We have a good name that we all feel pretty confident about, but I don't think it's been announced yet, so I can't say just in case. But essentially, dragonfly people who like fly around and are like essentially, if you want to play a hero who is a fighter jet, right? That's our idea behind these dragonfly folk, is that they are extremely good at maneuvering in the air and use that quite a bit to their advantage, right? So that's, let's see, I did 5, right? And I said shadow elves and goblins and gnomes and fairies and dragonfly folk. Oh man, there's one more, and everybody is yelling at me right now as I attempt to think of this. But anyway, I will be looking it up here as we're talking, because I can't not give you this exclusive. You know what I mean? But yeah, so that is what we're looking at right now. Now, there's a bunch of other stuff that we have talked about that we would like to be able to put out for folks, right? And that is that we really want to be able to release some of the subclasses that we've said are coming in the books, right? So we want to be able to release the other elementalist subclasses, right? There's 4 in the book, but there's 3 others. There is rot, and there is water and air, right? And we still need to put those out. We'd like to release the other subclasses that are hinted at for the talent as well, right? So right now, that is a conversation, right? And we have plans for other classes and things like that that we're talking about, but we have not started serious work on those things yet.
Cool. Well, it sounds, and that was going to be one of our questions, but you answered it already, and that was, it seems like the playtesting process for future content is going to be sort of, it sounds like Patreon then to open kind of a model.
So it depends on what we're doing. And also, by the way, that other ancestry is Raiden White. So rat folk, nice. Being able, and they're heroic rat folk. So think like rat folk who live in the sewers, but they're suave and they might be a little bit foppish and duelist. So kind of like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right? Yes. Making living in the sewers glamorous.
They're more Redwall than Skaven.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. More Redwall. That's a perfect way to think of it. So in terms of our playtest process, I think we're still figuring it out, and we're still figuring out what works, right? Because it's like, well, now the game's out. So how do we playtest different options, and what is the best way to go about things? So like for adventures, right? We don't know that adventures need an entire public playtest the way that they might. They go to patrons, right? Our patrons pretty much get to test everything. And they go through an internal playtest process, right? A lot of stuff here goes through the internal playtest process, then it goes to patrons. Whether or not it gets an open test sort of depends on how complicated it is and how much it has a chance to unbalance the game, right? So like character classes, because they are an option that everybody has access to, and because every character has access to a lot of options to begin with in Draw Steel, those are things that we often do open testing with, because we're like, the more eyes we can get on this, the more likely we are to find something totally broken within there, right? And the more likely we are to know how much do people like and want this, right? And so that's why we did that with the Summoner, and that's why we'll probably do that with the Beast Heart. But we won't do it, for instance, with the Adventures that we were talking about. Will we do it with the Ancestries? I don't know. That remains to be seen.
Cool. So I think one of the other things is that given how much of your focus on the last year has been on Draw Steel, is MCDM still going to be kind of in the business of like jumping back and forth between Draw Steel and then doing third-party releases for stuff like D&D 2024, or is Draw Steel just going to kind of be the primary focus moving forward? Like, you found the system you want to make stuff for, and you made it.
It's a good question, and it's one that so would say right now that Draw Steel is our flagship RPG, right? That's and the plan is for that to be our primary focus for the future right now. Now we're going to have a Kickstarter coming up in December, and that Kickstarter will there's a whole other product I forgot to mention, which is a book of encounters, and that's the thing that I've been working the most on right now, Pete, which may be why it slipped my mind, but yeah, so it's a book of encounters that's going to have drop-in 3-room dungeons that you can either pull a room out and just use that as an encounter, right, or you can drop the whole dungeon in a game and use it, right. It's going to have drop-in negotiations and montages. It's going to have drop-in tests that you can use for each skill, so that you can also see what do we think like a medium, easy, and hard climb test are, right? Like all that kind of stuff is going to be in there. So we're going to have a crowdfunding campaign for that book, and then also for some of these other products we're talking about. Right now, we're still figuring out what combination of adventures and other things are going to go in there, but I know that the encounter book is going to be part of that. People will also be able to get the core rule books, right? So if they didn't get them the first time and they want to get them as part of the crowdfunder this time, they'll be able to do that, right? And so we will know in December if this is, do people want more Draw Steel? Draw Steel is already a success and it was in December 2023 when we successfully funded it, right? And so the question is, do people want more of this now, right? That's what this crowdfunder is going to be a referendum on. And so hopefully y'all do, and we will get to make all these fun and wonderful things we're talking about. And it'll go out and we'll continue to have a long lifespan. However, we do have designs on other projects that we want to make. We've talked a lot about other RPGs we want to make. We've talked a lot about board games that we're interested in making, card games that we're interested in making. So we have this design to make other tabletop things. In terms of third-party stuff, it's not entirely off the table, right? We may at some point make third-party stuff again if we have a good idea for it and we really want to do it and we have a great idea. But it's not our primary focus, and it's also not something that I think a lot of people currently in the company have a hunger for. We really love being able to work on our own stuff, and because we have that total ownership and authorship over it, which means that like if we want to change something about the game or we want to change a rule because it will work better if we do X, Y, or Z in this adventure, we can, right? And you can do that for third-party stuff too, but people raise a little bit more of an eyebrow, right? And it can be a harder sell when you are the people who created the game and say, hey, it's okay to change this way. That means that everybody gets excited about it. And it also makes it better for the third-party creators who are working for you, because they say, well, like, look, they said it's okay to change this rule, so it would also be okay to change this rule, right? And that kind of thing. So right now, Draw Steel is the flagship. It's the primary focus. Provided everything goes well, it will stay that way. But we also do have designs to make other things. One thing that we have talked about before is Matt and our art director would really love to make a science fiction sort of dungeon crawling board game, right? And they have some really great ideas for it. They're starting to get into some like concept sketches and stuff. And so I'm so excited. And I may not be involved at all in that. I just am excited for it to exist and to play it. And so that's really cool that something like that is happening. We have designs on making a role-playing game that would be very different from Draw Steel, that would be more of a survival horror, crawling into dungeons, trying to get gold, less heroic, less cinematic, more gritty, right? Type experience, more of a like, oh God, what is that monster in front of us, rather than a Draw Steel type thing, right? The game isn't going to be called, oh God, what is that monster? I mean, maybe, who knows? Yeah, exactly. I said that, and then I was like, well, hang on. We've been calling it though Crows, right? This idea that there might be a game because what the point of that game is crawling into holes and getting treasure, right? Going into the gilded hole, as they say. Those are the kinds of things that we're looking at doing in the future.
Well, that sounds amazing. It sounds like if you are a fan of Draw Steel, you have a lot of amazing new stuff coming out here in the next 6 to 12 months. We've got a lot of new classes to check out, the new Ancestries to check out. Is there anything else you want to say about the future of Draw Steel to the fans before we wrap it up? Because it's been a hell of a ride from the end of that 2023 Kickstarter to the launch, and just the immediate response and the critical acclaim. Is there anything you'd like to say?
I really would like to say, I think mostly thank you, right? I have been blown away by the release. Like, when I make games, I think the biggest compliment that could be paid to it is seeing people actually play the game, right? Seeing people engage with the game, and seeing people build friendships around the game, and seeing people share their stories of what Draw Steel is like. I mean, on social media, it gives me life to see people sharing photos of their game and their friends, or just saying I just did one of the coolest things I've ever done in a game, and I got to push a goblin 30 feet through a wooden wall, and it was amazing, right? Those are the kinds of things that are giving me joy. To know that people are getting this game and actually using it and actually playing it is huge. And for me, right, I think in the world right now, it is easy to become disconnected from people, right? It is easy to feel like you are being social and feel like you are engaged with people without actually doing it, until you realize oh, why am I sad and lonely, right? And so to know that people are using these games to interact with other people, and to have fun, and to be a kid again, right? When you're playing these games, and to get to engage in imagination and building stories and just having some fun, rolling some dice, means the world to me. So thank you so much to everybody out there who has made Draw Steel a success and given it a shot. It means everything. Really, really does right now. So, and thank you to you, Pete, for covering it, because it means a huge amount that you would come on here and want to talk about our game. And also, you are one of the people who has played our game, and so thank you for that, Pete. I really appreciate it.
Yes, we've already got our campaign going. We're one session in. We've already lost one player. Who's coming back, but his character died due to a series of poor but amazing decisions. And so yeah, we can't wait for more. Exactly,
that's the best way to go out. Yes, exactly.
James, thank you again. And guys, if you want to get in on the same Draw Steel goodness that I'm enjoying, go to the MCDM shop online, get the digital stuff, pre-order the physical copies. They start shipping here in September. There's still time for you to enjoy the world of Draw Steel that so many of us are already enjoying. And once again, James Introcaso, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate every time you're on. And to everyone watching at home, do the liking and the subscribing and the YouTube stuff, and we will be back to talk more Draw Steel in the future.
Thank you so much, Pete. This is great. This is great. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Like and subscribe. Smash the thing.